Okay, good. I think we're live now. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Akasha here, and we are in, such a delicious week. One of my favorite times of the year, bar none. Even as a child, there was nothing better than Halloween because I got to dress up legally, wear my costume, and eat candy. I thought that I had died and gone to heaven. So outside of that, then I went through living in a very powerful experience in my life when my children were very young, very young. And I was very deeply involved with the Reformed Congregation of the Goddess, RCG. And it's very Celtic based, it's goddess based, it's nature based. And so this is Samhain, All Hallows Eve. We're talking about a time when people say the veil is thin. It means that the energies, the density of the energies between us and between spirit, between possibilities, between rising out of our past and letting go of our limiting beliefs and completing and really deciding finally not to live mentally, emotionally, or spiritually in any way in the past, because who cares? Okay, so we're in a new moon and we're in this beautiful portal, and it's considered the new year for the Celts. And so as a New Year celebration, it's going in deep. I want to encourage everybody. I'm going to be with you tomorrow. I think tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I'm going to be with you tomorrow. We're going to do a Samhain celebration. However, if you want to set up an altar, I highly recommend that you start thinking about it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I always take an apple. I don't have mine. I actually carried it around with me all morning and then left it downstairs. You take an apple, you slice it sideways, the correct way, we would say, not straight down through it this way. And you'll open it up and you'll see a star. It is the pentagram. It is the 5 elements. It is the symbol of Venus. It is the symbol of God, goddess energy, and it holds the seeds. And it's beautiful. You just put it on your altar. We did this all over Avalon because it's the Isle of Apples, and there was apple orchards everywhere. So we were bountifully receiving apples from all kinds of very interesting places, because to me that the tree is drawing nourishment from that land, then those apples have that land's energy in it, not just mineral wise, the energy of the sacred, the energy of the beauty of the land, the energy of the intention. And this was near these were both near and on sacred spaces. So when you set up your altar, you also can think about pomegranates. That's a big one this time of year for us. A pomegranate seed is actually delicious to put on top of little things that you're eating. However, again, if you open the pomegranate and lay it open, it represents this time when we go deep into the shadow, into the darkness, but it's really the yin, it's really the energy, and the new moon is all about planting your new seeds. So I'm going to share with you about our beautiful special guest. I tried so hard to get us together with Donna before I left, and some things just did not happen. So it's okay. And so make sure that you are on the list at nanakasha.com. Then you'll find out about all of these things. I do a lot of live streams, and we're going to be doing some special events coming up. We have the Wishes Fulfilled workshop this weekend. So today our guest is Donna Stellhorn, and many of you know her because she is my favorite astrologer, and she's come over and is going to share with us all about this new moon and how to use these energies for our empowerment, for moving through a portal where we come out the other side, that even if it's a bit like a vision quest, a little scary, confusing, intense or something, we're reborn, we're rebirthed, we are renewed, we are ready, we're resilient, we have recovered something really beautiful. So Donna is an astrologer, a feng shui expert. She's written 20 books, including Feng Shui Form and the best-selling booklet Sage and Smudge. She writes weekly and monthly predictions for astrology.com, horoscope.com. She offers a growing catalog of video courses, including Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart and tarot, how to read it the natural way. Yay. So she's a consulting astrologer specializing in predictive Western astrology. She sees clients every day. One of them is me. She's on the board of NCGR, and she makes fun YouTube videos. She does. I love her YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. And when she wants to be terrified, she does stand-up comedy. I'm going to make sure I get to see that one day. And her favorite place is Iceland, even though she lives in Oceanside, California. She's still a little bit of a beach girl. So there's her website. There's her YouTube channel. We probably already have that down below here. Make sure you subscribe and you hit notifications that you will know when we go live. And if you're on the list, this is in the email, and we will be sending a replay email for you. Even though, remember that as soon as we're done, the replay is ready right here. So this is where you go for wishes fulfilled. It's going to be an amazing 2 days this weekend, okay? And we also have the Oracle deck now available as a class, and the deck starting at the very, very end of December. So we've just finished the Prosperity Manifesting Magic Challenge. There's 4 days, about 3.5 hours worth of information there. Each day is a step. Each day is a transformative process. We go into a concept around prosperity, and we're taking the ancient wisdom, the ancient principles, and we're rewiring them into a completely new way of connecting to the nature that we are the one. And our last one was living in the wish fulfilled, living in the end result. Really fun. Okay, and this is also up there, a new session that I've been doing with people. If you're interested, check that out. And this is what we're doing tomorrow right here. So make sure you mark your calendar. Tell everybody you can. This is the Chalice Well where we got hand fasted. When we first arrived, they had it decorated like this, and it was for the equinox. So it's a beautiful symbol, is on my ring. It is the Vesica Pisces, the 2 spheres crossing to create the eye, or we are the one. So, okay, good. Enough about that. Miss Donna, tell us what is happening.
Well, stuff is happening for sure. We have a really intense new moon coming up that is lining up, of course, with the, the video changed, and that threw me for a second.
I did. I made you the star.
Sorry. So I wish I had a graphic to show you, but there's a new moon coming up, and this coincides with some difficult energy around Mars and Pluto, and this coincides with the election in the United States. And so what do you want to talk about?
Well, I like to talk about the new moon and the energies that we're already feeling because we're near it, how it's intensified because of this particular time of the year, and how people can use the energies that are intense around it for good, to assist their healing, or to force that skin off, the way that a snake goes over something rough to pull the skin off, the old identity. How can we use this energy, be wise about it, and be kind to ourselves?
So I think the first thing to recognize about when we're doing difficult energy, and this is very much about endings and new beginnings, of course, is that in general, for us, the everyday folk, it's not quite as intense because we're already on the spiritual path. And so you might recognize this as you might feel a little bit irritated during the day, or you might feel more ambition during this time. But if we get caught up in what everybody else is doing, then it can feel very extreme without anything extreme happening in our lives.
Yeah. Well, I live so separate from whatever is going on, whatever people are talking about.
Can you come back on on screen. I'm lonely here.
Okay. I've never done that before. Here we go. There we
Okay,
go.
thank you.
Hi, I'm
Okay.
Jackie.
Now we can have the
I'm lonely.
conversation.
You're so funny.
So,
I'm very disconnected from the news, from conversations that normal people are having, from the newest hot TV show. Like, I'm very disconnected. And
mhm.
having been on a trip for 5 weeks, I was, of course, more outside of my house than
Yeah.
normal. And I was in towns, villages, and cities rather than the beach where I went for a walk today and saw a seashell, so
Mhm.
and some birds. So I really don't get caught up in that. However, since it's so dominant in most people's lives, right, wherever they live, they're seeing this. What
Yeah.
is something else? I liked the idea of turning irritation into ambition. What are some other transformative things that we can look for? Like, oh, okay, how's this a gift? And, if you're feeling irritated, well, obviously unplug from the news and stop listening to the 80 bazillion opinions out there. The
Mhm.
discernment is sort of like shut it off and see what makes it through the cracks. That might be my theory.
Well, and that's kind of what I mean is when you're walking the spiritual path, you may have unplugged from all of this. And yet your sister calls you up and says, "Hey, did
Wow.
you hear?" Or your neighbor says something. And then so it is coming through the cracks.
Mm.
So the big aspect that we're doing at this time is Mars is lining up to oppose Pluto. Pluto is back in Capricorn just for a few more weeks. And they're both at 29 degrees.
Woo.
So Pluto at 29 Capricorn represents the authority, the old guard that is going to be passing away to allow in Aquarius energy, which is very focused on new and innovative. Now, the interesting thing is that those two signs, Capricorn and Aquarius, are still ruled by Saturn. So they still have kind of
Right.
this scientific basis to them, a
Yeah.
seriousness about them. But Capricorn's very much about the old. And
Yeah.
and there's so much for the spiritual path that we honor in the old, of going back to the old traditions.
Yeah.
And then the Aquarius side, which really wants the new, also the spiritual people walk that path to say, well, let's do things differently. So we're kind of threading this needle so that we don't get just caught up in the wake of it. Now, that comes together with Mars in Cancer in an exact opposition. So Mars in Cancers is supposed to be this sort of weakened energy of Mars, but I don't really believe that. Cancer is about love, right? And it's about family and
Yeah,
home.
definitely.
And Mars is very aggressive energy. So this is the protector.
That's this immediately what I saw when you said that.
Yeah.
It's more that like standing up to use that energy, not to attack, but to protect.
Yes. And so, but the where that level of protection goes is what's important. So we might protect our home through crystals or lighting candles or things like that, whereas someone else might use weapons to guard. And it's still Mars and Cancer.
Interesting.
So we have then the Mars and Cancer energy, which believes in their cause, must protect home and family.
Yeah.
And home could be the house, it could be the neighborhood, it could be the country.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was it feels relevant to what's happening in the U.S.
Yes. And then the other side is Pluto in Capricorn, which is we must retain the old. We've got to hold on to the traditions and go back to the way it was, the good old days.
Ugaboo. No.
Yes. And so these two at critical degrees are opposite each other, and they're opposite each other for the new moon. They're exact on November 3rd. But because Mars is going retrograde, they will come again to be exactly opposite on January 3rd, I believe. Yeah,
Wow.
January 3rd, and then April 26th. So we have
Wow.
this energy that we're going to explore now, all of us as a collective world, and then we're going to get this energy 2 more times, not at critical degrees, but then in the Aquarius Leo sort of dynamic. So ultimately, what I started to say earlier was that we are we who are walking the spiritual path, we of course could be affected by this energy, but it's more likely that there's going to be some individuals who don't necessarily have the self-control or the self-understanding to realize that this dynamic doesn't mean that they need to take up arms. So for everybody in the United States, I would say, if somebody around you seems to be acting erratic or dangerous, move away from them. Don't try to stay to heal them. This isn't the time for that.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself, yeah.
Yeah, use that masculine energy, that Mars energy, for protection in all kinds of ways. And protection doesn't mean you have to attack others. It means exactly what you just said. It means, what can I do to strengthen myself? What can I do to, make my place? To me, it's a daily thing. I activate my light body many, many times a day. I cleanse and clear it. I use tools like smudge and sage and walk on the beach and do all this other stuff.
The beach, the shells are a good representation of protection. Place those on your windowsills, on a little pile by the door. Lighting candles for protection. Using herbs. Oh yeah, beautiful shells. Yes.
Yeah, I got a lot of shells. I mean, my life is shells. I was just thinking about how there were no shells today. That's not true. There weren't many, but
good herb for protection is rosemary.
Rosemary. I bought some fresh rosemary,
And this time of year, it's very easy to get rosemary. Sometimes you get a little shape of a tree. So this sort of protection you can use to protect your home, your family, and it even extends to when you're out in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Other things too, I think, that are interesting, especially because we're talking new moon. This is deep darkness, right? You're walking in the dark, essentially. It's not necessarily bad, and we're planting seeds. It's a womb and all that. However, having things like, I always wear my obsidian. I have
obsidian is a wonderful stone for protection. Hematite works really well too.
I can't wear hematite. It just flies off and wants to kill itself. I did that with Chris too. He's so grounded. I kept buying him a hematite ring and it would fly off and shatter and fly off and shatter. I went through like 9 of them before I got the message. But yeah, I have 2 medallions. I have my jaguar and my eShell medicine. However, think about what you're wearing. A shaman taught me once that you can take medical tape and you can tape a crystal to any part of your body.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So it was beyond belief, because it was at a festival of the goddess where it was like 5 days and we were all running around naked, half naked, painting, doing this, whatever. We were sleeping in rooms, some people on the floor, it was a very communal situation. And a lady I was rooming with, the energies didn't work at all for me. I was getting extremely energetically messed up. So to this shaman that was there doing free crystal workshops, and she picks up this thing and slaps it on my solar plexus and puts a big piece of tape across it and says, "Don't take that off the rest of the time you're here." And I went, "Yes, ma'am." And it's a really powerful thing to do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So
another
thing,
I just want to tell people now,
tell us
we're doing the new moon, right? So the new moon is the eclipse, the new moon, depending what kind of energies you want, equinox, solstice, full moons. I put jars of water out to program. And keep them in the fridge and use them, put them in our food or use them on the altar, or sometimes just wash things with them or whatever. So use water, put something out to catch the energies of this time, but hold that intention, right? That what is it that you're capturing? Like you want the sacred energies of this, or you could use it as something to absorb the energies that you don't want. You could put some rosemary in the water. You could put some crystals in the water.
Yeah.
This is a pendulum that I bought in
Mhm.
Glastonbury that has a vial of water at the end that holds half red springs and half white springs from the sacred springs there.
Oh, beautiful.
And I thought, I have some of the water. I brought some
Mhm.
home in these little flasks,
Mhm.
and you know, it's just abundant when you're there. People just take it home free to drink from it. But I thought this was a brilliant way. So sometimes some people may have something like this, right? A
Mhm.
vial, and it's a pendulum, but they did actually have them as necklaces too.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Water is used a lot in feng shui, containers of water. And so, yes. And this is a Scorpio new moon. And so it is a water sign. So then the interesting thing is that, remember, we have these two players. One on one side is Pluto, the other side is Mars. Well, Scorpio rules I'm sorry, I did it backwards.
the other
Pluto
way, yeah.
rules Scorpio,
Scorpio.
and Mars co-rules Scorpio. So the two
Oh, really?
players in this
Oh my
head-to-head
God.
battle are ruled by the same signs, which is a reminder that both sides are saying the same thing. I mean, there are, yes, some differences, but there's also a lot of the things, there's much more common ground that people are recognizing.
I love this. To me, this is like all the energies that I just went through for 4 or 5 weeks doing ceremony in all these different places, and you know, in front of King Arthur and Guinevere's, you know, burial place. The masculine, feminine energies coming up, doing this, the two springs, you know, like everything like that, and the idea that you are the creator. So if I am that I am, then you are everything. You're the one that thinks it up. You're the one that writes it. You're the one that acts it out. You're the one that gets to decide to change it. That's just the way it is. It's really hard for most of us to grasp. That's what the path is that we're on, though. And so this to me is like, this is you, all of you. It's like a trinity. It's like two levels of authority of your higher self, right? It's like, oh, here's my I am presence, here's my body elemental, and then I've got my higher self, and then my I am presence, or whatever words you want to use for it. That's what this feels like, is having both of these co-ruling to show up like this. That's really powerful.
Yes. So, and then the trinity of this chart is that Mars makes a trine to Mercury and a trine to Neptune, forming a grand trine.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
and a grand trine, and this, of course, a grand water trine, is that the vision, which is Neptune, and the words, which is Mercury, come into that Mars place
Oh
of
my
action.
gosh.
And so no matter what happens here in the United States, that your path is still protected. And so each person out there, your path is still protected. You can still walk your path. The
Absolutely.
things that you need to do for your soul's journey, it's all still there.
Yeah. Yeah. What I love about this is that, because I always think that Mars and well, both sides, I guess, but a lot of the masculine type energies get a really narrow role to play. You know, they're seen always as the war, you know, and I don't believe that, you know, and I love that we get to use this Mars energy for vision, right? To
Yes.
expand our vision so our imagination can catch fire, and we can have the energy to say, no, I get to decide what my reality is.
Yes.
And especially in the darkness, right? In this.
So to have the vision, to put it into words and then take action is this grand trine. So this is that you receive the message, then you articulate the message, and then you go do the message.
This is just spectacular.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I always know there's something really powerful, really good inside of whatever it is that's going on. I don't really have an opinion of this is bad. Someone said to me the other day, like, you know, I keep hearing people say, "Oh, it's been so hard. It's been so hard." It's like, I'm not sure I see it that way anymore since I got back from your retreat last year. And I was like, well, good, because I don't either. It just is what it is. I'm just walking through this particular landscape, and it's who I'm being.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So astrologically, tell us more magic around. And I want to come back also. Maybe it's better to do it first, to go a little bit into Pluto for everybody to really understand Pluto, because you threw out a lot of things. Okay, Neptune, of course, we know Poseidon, the god of the sea, oceans, water, very dreamy planet, right? Very dreamy, intuitive energies, and all of that. And then you have these other ones, but Pluto is the god of the underworld. And it's not necessarily bad, but it just adds to the critical degrees. That 29 degrees means a critical degree. It's at the end. So
it's the very last degree.
Right.
So, and that means that the things that we've maybe been putting off since Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008, that, yeah, I know. So Pluto now is very serious about it's time to do some pruning. And that's what Pluto is really about. Pluto systematically and very slowly, methodically goes through your life and identifies what is dead and says it's time to compost that, so that something new could be reborn. So, and as we are holding on to something that feels perhaps comfortable or safe, we don't realize how much it's painful for us to continue to hold on to it. Pluto comes and wrenches it from our hands, and it feels hard because we were holding on to this dead thing so tightly. And sometimes that's a relationship, sometimes it's a job, sometimes it's an attitude, a belief that just has to go away.
Yeah. Well, and it does. It's a fact of life. Like this, you brought up the Capricorn energy, which I find really fascinating because I have a lot of Capricorns in my life, and my children, my twins are Capricorns, and my dad's a Capricorn. And I've gotten to interact with that energy in different forms. And it's my first friend who taught me some astrology said it's like the old man and the new baby at the same time, but ages in reverse.
That's Saturn, because Saturn rules both the Capricorn and the Aquarius energy. Capricorn is very necessary. It's what builds everything. And so, but because when you build something big and tall, you have to follow the rules, because otherwise the building tilts, the building falls over. So, but Pluto is going to go through the building and say, yeah, the foundation's not good. We're going to have to remove that. And so the building crumbles, and we take all of these different parts and we build something new in a new way. That's the Aquarius.
Yeah. So that's good. We're moving towards that.
It is, but it's very disruptive for the average person. And so the most important thing is about embracing change. And I talked about this when I'm talking about moving from the dragon year in Chinese astrology to the snake year, because when we see pictures of a Chinese dragon, which is different, of course, than the Western type, which the Chinese dragon more looks like a snake with the dragon's head. So we see these two animals that look so similar. But the difference is that the dragon that we're in right now, the dragon flies. He flies high up into the sky. The snake lives on the ground, where it's sensitive, where it feels every vibration. So the dragon doesn't care, doesn't know. And so, the things are just loud and bold and bright. And when we get to next year, we're going to feel more sensitive to everything. So with all of that kind of change, this one solution for us all is to embrace change. And that includes, all the technology side of it, and embracing that, okay, things may not go exactly like we had planned, but there's still a path for us.
Well, that's going to be better than anything you imagined if that's what you put in to become the structure for your reality. Is, wow, everything unfolds. I mean, there's no way I could think up half the really good shit that happened in my life. I couldn't have thought it up. And if I only get the exact thing that I know of, but if I'm always open, like, okay, well, this must be for a really good reason. Because I think if you do the work, you get the goodies.
Well, and I think it starts with believing in yourself. And believing in yourself is partly this Capricorn energy of, what have I built in the past? Where were my successes in the past? That's the strongest affirmation out there. To say, oh, I have $1 billion does not, because it's not real, does not affirm that. But to say, oh, wait, like there's been times where it was a recession, but I still had an income. There was a times where I increased income. There's a time I doubled income. Therefore, I can do it again. That's a true affirmation that comes from the Capricorn energy that helps us go into the Aquarian energy.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting when you get into the layers upon layers of what's happening. It's like, oh, there's a new moon, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this other thing, and there's this other thing. So I like the idea that we have the Day of the Dead, or the idea of acknowledging multiple dimensions, that we're not just caught up in the 3D, the physical form, and have all these different celebrations that happen around the world to honor that, along with this 29 degrees endings with Pluto, Mars, with all these fantastic energies that really are, like you said, I see them. I'm going to be walking through this thinking, look at all the support that I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Someone just said to me, and I thought this was so wise. They said, remember, these holidays, they're important and they are work. We think of them as holidays, and they come and they go, and we don't do the things, and we go look back and say, oh, I didn't, light the candles. I didn't do the celebrations, because we're already feeling like we're doing so much. But this is the work that's important.
Yes.
So if we shift it to say, yeah, the holiday's a bit of work, to get it prepared and to do this connection with the spirit realm, we can do at Halloween, that if we embrace that idea that, yeah, it's a job, but it's the most important one, because it's the spiritual one.
Yeah.
And then
nothing more important.
Yeah. Then that helps us prioritize that, it just helped me see, like, why I had let holidays in the past slip by. Yeah. It's because I kept thinking, as we do as kids, we just show up.
Yes, you show up. I did, I started designing parties though very young. I loved parties. I wanted parties. Could I have this party? Could I have this costume? Could I have it look like this? Could we do that? I saw this old thing of kids bobbing for apples in a big tub of water. And I looked at Chris and I said, we did that. And he just looked at me like, what? I said, yeah. He's 10 years younger than me. I said, we used to do that. That was a party activity.
It was. I remember.
And we used to go trick-or-treating without an adult.
Yep. Without an adult.
And we used the pillowcase.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We didn't have these fancy, cute little fluffy, containers.
Little tiny little things.
Yeah. Some of these little tiny things, like, come on. My mom gave me a pillowcase and I went out until I could drop.
Yeah, you were dragging it home.
Yeah, playful costumes. I think playing with this time right now is also the idea of putting on that different costume. What would you be? Who would you be?
Yes.
Play with that idea. You know, I think this might be the first year ever in my one daughter's life that she's not dressing up for Halloween, because she has a proper real job now. After 2 degrees, she got a proper real job at a proper real company in a big fancy building, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so before that, it's just been small things and art, you know. So she's all like, I'm like, what are you going to wear to the you know, costume? Oh no, I don't think I'm doing that. I'm like, what? No, that's way too proper. I'm like, oh no.
Well, and this is the last of the Halloweens that will have Pluto in Capricorn, and which is the proper sign. And so the you know, even the people who are not letting loose this time will let loose next year, as the ruler of the Scorpio new moon will be in Aquarius.
Yeah.
Of change and expression.
Yeah. So talk a little more about Scorpio, and then about these, what the significance is of like this January repeat and whatever those other 2 dates that something's repeating.
Well, Scorpio is very much a sign of how can I protect myself? So, and Scorpio is known to protect themselves through watching others, analyzing, looking at the psychology of things. So then we are as these two rulers of Scorpio then go head to head. Then we're seeing this dynamic as, you know, like, what side do I pick? What feels like it resonates with me? So, but ultimately, you know, the two sides will have to blend together again. So yeah, and that will probably be years from now, because when we're most polarized when we're changing signs, you know. So Pluto's transit's 20 years, so the next one is at least. And so that's going to be another 10 years before we feel like a real blending.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So there's always an opportunity, even if it is hard, to use the energies for something that won't come around again or for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, that idea of blending energies, I like that, because we have to let go of who we thought we were and all the limitations, step into who we want to be, and start to allow ourselves to actually think about who we want to be, because most people don't know. Well, I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to, you know, to live in my wishes fulfilled.
Yeah, and I think that it's like the Pluto, especially in Capricorn, but also in Aquarius, it can be so big a concept that we don't know where to put the first step. But fortunately, Mars in Cancer is very much about, okay, we know we're, you know, like, we protect the family, we love the home, whatever that's defined as. Could be spiritual family, could be your pets, you know. But we start there of how can I make sure that they're happy and safe? So we're giving of ourselves to say, okay, like, my pets might be upset while the doorbell's ringing and kids are running around. How do I keep them safe and happy during this time? And that's the smallest step. And to your point, you say, you know, step into your, I don't remember the term but into your power, perhaps. Well, that may start with the person saying, all right, I'm just going to journal about what that life could be like.
Exactly.
So, and maybe that's the beach house. So then you say, all right, I'm going to go get a shell to represent that. Like, these small steps lead to the next step and the next step and lead to the destination.
Yeah.
So, but if it just stays in this concept of, you know, that's so separate, someday I have the beach house.
Yeah, you can't. It'll always be someday.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But our logical mind says going and getting a shell is not helping, but it actually does.
Oh, yeah. More important than anything. In fact, we have to stop doing so much, thinking so much, figuring it out so much, trying to make it happen so much, thinking we have to wait a long time or strive for something really hard. Everything's already created. So you just change the dial, like the channel on the TV. And it's really that nobody understood that. And then the people who tried to teach that, it was very cryptic, right? Now we can talk about it more openly. And the first time I was given a book called Your God, Get Over It, I just stared at it like, wow, that's really brave. You know, it shocked the shit out of me. Joe Vitale gave it to me, gave it a bunch of books, and he's like, one of them was Your God, Get Over It, not one of his books. And I just was like, oh my gosh, you know, and now I'm like, yeah. Yeah, there isn't anybody else you get to blame. There's no higher authority. There's no other people. It's all you. So, you know, that's what's fun about learning these energies and understanding if I walk through it and I feel this, how can I support myself? How can I protect myself? But make sure your protection isn't about keeping people out from fear. It's supporting yourself. It's nourishing yourself. It's being prosperity. To prosper means that you are in an environment that's supportive.
Yes.
For you to grow, to feel safe, to expand, to express. It doesn't mean money. It means, oh, everything is in the optimal, like the little seed, you know, it starts sprouting because you gave it the right, whatever.
Yes. I think that's very true. I was listening to a survival expert, you know, like kind of guy who puts people on an island without food or water and sees if they make it. and, you know, he said that the more people together, the bigger the chance of survival. And whereas generally we think, oh, that's more mouths to feed, oh, that's more people to take care of. But in actuality, it's more helping hands. So as you know, expand your family to include, you know, maybe the extended family or the neighbors or the spiritual family, you become stronger as a group and more able to survive.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen. You don't have to hold on to your family, where you've lived, what you've done as a job, what country you live in. Like, you know, all of that stuff, that idea of fighting for tradition to keep things the way they were, rather than say, let's just trust we're going to take forward the really awesome shit that we all learned and let the rest go into something better. Because when you find a way to trust and you master your mind, you know, like we just talked about, to think about how you want it to be. What is going to be the harmonious, joyful way through this? Not, it needs to be perfect and no one ever dies and butterflies are here and there's never a hurricane and so on and so forth. Just let go of that nonsense and just say, I'm walking through that, but I get to choose who I am. And wow, the doors open like unbelievable. You know, we got...
Think of the astrology chart. In the astrology chart, I, as the astrologer, cannot tell what nationality you are, what race you are, what religion you are, what politics you are. I cannot even see your gender.
Wow.
So these things are more just cultural constructs, and we can go beyond that and just embrace the chart.
I love that. Yeah. So if someone has 29 degrees in their chart, right, in your natal chart, you're going to get more of an impact.
Well, yes, but you've also lived with it your entire life.
That's
so
true.
Therefore, it's just fuel for an engine that you have that is used to this fuel.
Nice.
So when you don't have the 29s, then you may say, oh, well, this is some heavy rocket fuel. What do I do with this in my Prius?
In my Prius. Oh my gosh.
So it's, you know, and we had talked about the battle between these two, you know, the battle between, and I talked about this in my video, the Bruce Willis who's trying to protect his family, and then the Bruce Willis who's going to be like, I'll do any, you know, win at any cost because it's right, because it's the right thing to do. So that's the kind of battle we have going on. So, but this is also a highly ambitious aspect. of the person who says, I'm going to change jobs. No, I'm going to change careers. No, I'm going to change the world. That is energy you can tap into right now.
Yes.
That's where the 29 says, I'm not going to wait anymore.
Oh, goody.
I'm going to tap into my ambition to make the world a better place. So that's what we can do. That's how we can use the energy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Okay. Anything else that's vital for us to understand for the next week or so? And, keep in mind, some of the things Donna said. She said, oh, this will be affecting us for years or coming back again.
Yes.
What is that significance of those times?
So Pluto's still going to be in Capricorn until November 19, and this is the last time it will be in Capricorn in our lifetimes. So this is a real letting go period. So in a practical sense, let go of stuff. Let go of what you don't need. On Halloween, write down the things you want to let go of. This is the perfect time to say, you know what? I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be hesitant anymore. I don't want to be jealous anymore. Like, write down what it is you want to let go of. I don't want to be addicted to whatever, I don't want to have cravings towards this. Whatever it is you want to let go of, do that on Halloween, and then do the rest up until the 19th. And then we're going to go into this new energy.
And that's Pluto in Aquarius.
That'll be Pluto in Aquarius. Yeah. And it'll be interesting because we've only known about Pluto since 1930. Pluto was in Aquarius last time in the late 1700s. So we don't know what Pluto in Aquarius really does. Wow. Because we didn't know about it. So there's no historical records. For all of the visible planets to Saturn, we have records going back thousands of years of, this is what occurred. And so we have a really good body of knowledge. But when it comes to Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they're recent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and Pluto being the most recent, it's, we're going into this with, oh, what's this going to be?
It's exciting because it feels like we're being given, a passcode to the penthouse or something, like to a new place we haven't gone yet, where we can play with those energies. Again, Pluto is Pluto, but then it's inside of Aquarius. So there's a completely different thing. And would it also have to do with air, mind, letting go of old mindsets?
100%. In fact, over the course of 2025, planets that have been in Earth and water, so Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, are all moving to fire and air. So the whole transformation that we have happening is that we are going from kind of mud into this sort of smoke and fire and air and wind and, that sort of power. So things will move much faster for sure. So,
yes. Fire and air.
Yes. Yeah. So, but we'll be meeting again in December, and we'll talk more about that transition and what that's going to bring. I think people will be surprised about that transition.
Yeah. Woo. And then we'll talk about the snake year. I'm so excited about the snake year. I don't know. It feels like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. Okay. I've been walking past that cave opening. One day I'm going to do it. One day I'm just, I saw this. I love caves now. I used to be very claustrophobic, and However,
Spelunking, huh?
not spelunking, not this, I went in, I mean, a cave I can walk in,
Oh, okay, got it, got it.
And I've done, progressively more and more deep caves and so on. However, I saw this video of this guy going in this cave, and I didn't think a human would even fit in the hole. They showed the hole, and then this skinny, 20-year-old boy or whatever, he just like stuck his legs in and like a little snake went right down the hole. And he said something, and I just went, oh, no, 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 no. No. And so it kind of comes up as like, that's the snake year, like you can do it. You can dive down in there. Let's make it happen. It's going to be exciting and challenging and interesting. So, wonderful. Well,
That sounds very exciting.
I know. I hope one thing I hope to do next year, or I hope happens next year, is the way that dragons have become very popular in the consciousness and in a lot of different ways this year and prior to this year, but also that the serpent, the snake, is very misunderstood, right? It's been demonized by one culture, where literally I think every other culture on the planet ever revered the snake and made it their number one god in most cases. And a wise healer, symbol of enlightened eye, all these wonderful things, transformation, shedding the skin. So, of course, since living over here with the Maya land, big on that, on shedding the old. So, hi, Candy. Oh, wow. Hi, Amy. That's interesting. As I'm releasing aspects of my healing business and wondering if I am to continue, wonder if I am to completely let it go. So interesting. Well, yeah, this will be an interesting portal to go through if you're thinking something like that, right? Endings. Critical
endings, yes, and there will be more opportunities to let go during 2025. So, don't feel the pressure to let go of everything during this time. This is just the beginning of going through the transformation, which means that what you can get done in this 2 weeks, great, and then there will be at least 3 more opportunities coming up in 2025 and a couple in 2026, and then we'll be in this new energy.
Isn't it interesting? We have to go through like those doors, one lock, and then turn around, seal that, and then you go through the next lock. Like ascension chambers, or what are they called when you come up from the depths of the sea? Like you have to go through different.
Yeah, kind of like if you're in a submarine, it's good to close the door.
Good point. I'm gonna write that down. That's an interesting thought. Oh, I love that. I think my mind's already going like, ooh, how could I think about that with the element of water and then emotion and this and this and this? You're in a submarine, shut the door. Yeah.
Shut the door.
Don't get on everybody else's stuff. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful day. I will see you guys tomorrow for our incredible Samhain celebration. And I don't know what else is happening. Oh yeah, wishes fulfilled this weekend. Make sure that you sign up, you come, you join it. I want a whole bunch of our community out there living in their wishes fulfilled, living in the end result, living in there, keeping it, manifesting until it completely consumes you and you're touching it, you're feeling it, you're living it. You can, you're the only one who can. Yay. And enjoy this interesting portal. Thank you so much, Donna.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye everybody.